Hey YouTube, this is Prince from Desi Programmer. Welcome back to another awesome Flutter tutorial, and in this video we are going to create an amazing Flutter project. Well, the main aim is to create an internet sensitive UI, but we will also be creating a network image fetcher project to understand the project as well as the UI creation very well. In this project and in this video, as you can see, when you click on the app, I have used a Facebook Lite internet check logic. So first we will check the internet on a different screen before building any kind of UI which has to get some data from the internet. And only if that is true, only if your internet is corrected at the first time, then it will build these UIs. And here if you turn off the internet at once, then we get this dialog, and this dialog makes sure that you have to only exit. There is no, the barrier dismissible is set to false, so you can't just click anywhere to exit this. And in stage 2, where if you start the application without an internet connection, then in the first screen itself, before checking anything, it says that hey, no internet is detected, so you need to exit. Now if you turn on internet right at this point of time, then it will automatically take you to the next screen. So this amazing project, we are going to do everything right in this video. But before we move forward, let me tell you, you should either have a knowledge of the connectivity package in Flutter and socket exception catch, or you can watch this video which is about understanding how to use the connectivity package and also how to actually check if there is internet connection or not, which is a cons of connectivity package. Anyway, having done that, let me first create the project and run it on my app. Well, so just as you can see, our very basic application is up and running, and I have this circular progress indicator at the center which says checking my internet connection. Now let's see how we can implement the part which will check for internet connection and will push to the next route, which is the next page. Before I do that, let me just use this debug so check mode banner set. Let me just set this to false. Now here all that I'm doing is that in the init state I will check for an internet connection. So I'm saying void init state, and we're using the same method that I talked in the earlier video using socket exception, how we can check for internet. So let me just code that very fastly. So here we are using the same try catch block, but the only change right here is that we're not actually storing the result and waiting for it. We are saying that check that first look for this internet address, and only when you get a result then we'll be doing this. And just because we are doing this, which means just because this process will take some time, we need this build function to display something, and this is what throws error. Obviously you can do this using providers, but we are talking about an easy method using which everybody can do this quite easily and in a very simple manner so that they can even understand it. So in simple words, this function is going to check for internet, but this takes some time. So in the build function we are returning a very simple UI which will be just checking, which will just say that we are checking for internet connection. Now here, only if this is true, only if there is internet connection available, then we are going to push to the next page, and if not, in all other sections, in all other cases, we have to show a dialog box right here, a dialog which says that hey, no internet connection is available, so you may need to exit the application. Now coding the dialog is very simple. I am just coding a function because I have to call it multiple times. So show dialog, which will call a show dialog. So let me just do this very fastly because this ain't something that should take much time, and this too doesn't need much explanation. Now that we have coded the dialog, we just need it to call it everywhere where there is no internet connection available so that we can show this. So I'll just say show dialog, copy this, paste it these places where no internet connection is available. Now if I rebuild the application, you will see that now if I turn off the internet, then we will see this dialog which will say that hey, you need to either exit your application or you need to turn on the application. Now since we don't have this connectivity change listener as of now, so turning on the internet won't take us to the next screen. But let's first see how we can go to the next screen if there is an internet connection. That too is fairly simple. I just need another file, let's say image UI dot And here let me first code a very simple UI so that I can show this when I have to move to the next screen. Now we have a very basic UI for page 2 created, which just says page 2. So here we have to push the replacement. For that we will say Navigator dot of context dot push replacement, and we need a material page route. Let me just get the auto suggestion. Here we need a builder, so the builder is not null. The builder takes a context and it returns, let me just Alt plus Z. Here we are going to the next page. So okay, I don't need these curly brackets, parent. So we just get rid of this and we can simply call the image UI right here. So I'll say image, and let me get the auto suggestion again, image UI. That's pretty much it. Now when I save this, if there is an internet connection and if we rebuild the application, so let's see what happens. We will move to the next page instantly because this won't take much time, checking the internet. See, we move to the page 2 instantly. Now let's implement the second part, which was that even if somebody clicks on this when there is internet, then we can do this, and we can do that pretty simple. I mean, implementing that too is pretty simple. In the same init state, after this try, catch and exception, we need to implement the second connectivity listener. For that we need to first get the connectivity package. So in the pubspec.yaml, you will see in the dependencies we have to first add that. So I will add this connectivity. So now that we have that package, we need two things. One of them is a stream subscription, other one is a connectivity subscription previous. So we to store the previous result, and this will throw an error. So let me just click on this and import the connectivity dot, and here we will click on this, we will import the dot async. Now in the same method, all that we have to do is to listen if there is any change in connectivity or not. So we'll say connectivity dot on connectivity changed dot listener, and the listener will give a callback. So this callback takes a connectivity result, and let me just name this as connected result, which is a result right now. And here after this we need a callback. So since it's a callback function, here we have two options. The first one will be that the connectivity result is none, and the second one will be that a previous result which we had right here will be none. So I'm just copy this, and else if result equal to connectivity result dot none, we need another equal to right here, and that's pretty much it. So if the first result is none, if the connectivity result is none, that means we don't have any internet. So we don't need to do anything right here because this will take care of that. But only if this is true, which means we have internet connection. So what do we have to do? Pretty simple. We have to just call the same thing again. So I'll just copy it from here and I'll just paste this right here. So if there is an internet connection, we will do this. And don't forget, in this function, after the callback, we have to set the value of previous to the current connection, which is con result. And now if I rebuild the application, our first page logic as well as UI will be completed. So since we have internet, we move instantly to the page 2. If I turn off the internet, if we build it again, then you will see that we will get our page with a alert dialog which says that, hey, no internet connection detected, you need to either exit, or if I just turn on the internet right here, you will see we will move instantly to page 2. Come on, do that. Well, the same issue that happened in the last video. We don't need to rebuild the application. We will have to close this and start the debugging process again, which means we will have to run the file again. So let me just run this again. Let's wait for the result. So now if I turn off the internet and if I restart the app, Then you will see, then you will get that alert dialog which will say either exit the application because you don't have an internet connection. If I turn on the internet, then we will move to the page to right from there. So our first page logic as well as UI is completed as of now. Now let's move to the next page, the image UI page. So the first we will have a simple UI. So in my scaffold, let me just clear this up. First let me set the background color. So the background color is white, background colors dot white. The next thing that we have is an app bar which will say image viewer. So this is the app bar. Let me save it, and I don't think it will be reflected right here. Okay, it's being reflected. So this is, then my body, I have a single child scroll view which will first have a row of 3 buttons, and then we have our images card. So let me first say after my app bar, body which has a single child scroll view. Come on. Okay, the single child scroll view which obviously will give us a child option. So the child is going to be a column of widgets. The first one is a row, so let me just code that row of flat buttons very quickly. So here we have our row of 3 buttons, code, nature and computer, 3 section of images. The next thing that we need is an image. So after my row, I need a column which will show images, and now I have only 3 images per section because obviously it's not about UI. So in my children, I will have a list of visits. I have only 3 visits, and each visit is actually a card. So let me first code the visit card right here because I have to call that multiple times, so I have to do it every time. Now that code too is pretty simple. If I just paste it right here, then you will see that we take a string, a source string, we return a card with some shape or some clip behavior. The child is a column again, and the children, and the first children of my column, the only children is an image that we get from network using the same source. So I have to call these cards right here, and we have to pass some src2 which we don't have as of now, but that's okay. Let me just do this 3 times and it will ask for an src. So let's leave the portion. Now for the srcs, I do have a list of them, a list of srcs. So I do have 3 lists, one for the code, the nature and the computers, and just for the case of simplicity, the third list will consist of all those images which we have to show right now. And also that list is only going to be manipulated to change our images. If I just paste, then these are the images. You will get this in the repository. No need to worry, you will just get them simply. Now I have to just pass this to show in my this cards. So I will say to show with the 0th value, then to show with the first value, and then to show with the second value. So let me just copy this, paste this, 1, 2. Let me save this again, and now we are good to go. You see, we get 3 images right here. Now the next part, how to make sure that we change these images. For that we do have another function. That's pretty simple. All that we have to do is to call a function which will get a keyword, and that keyword will say whether we are asking for code, nature, computers, and according to that we will edit, which means we will be changing the content of this to show. And since this to show list is only responsible for showing the images, once this is changed, and if this is changed in set state, then obviously the images will be changed. So for that too, the function is pretty simple. All that I have to do, I'm calling that function as create list. So this function takes a string parameter which is the keyword which will determine which button is pressed. So a string keyword. Now we can get the keyword as code, which means the code button is pressed. In that case, all that we have to do is we have to first empty the to show list if there are any elements earlier, and then I'm saying call the set state, and in this set state we are saying that for var srcs, and since we are talking about the code word as, so I'll be saying for srcs in tech, since you will see that this is tech, we have niche and we have computer, so the name of code is tech. Let me actually change this to code only, and here if I have to say for srcs in code, and all that we have to do to say to show, which is now empty dot add, and all that we have to add is srcs. That's pretty much it, but we have to call this function too. So I'll just copy this, we'll move right here. Here you will see we have nature, we have computers, and we have code. So in the on pressed, instead of pasting this empty list, I'm just saying call this function with a keyword which is code in this case. I'll just copy this and I will paste this right in these places too. So let's paste this right here, and let's paste this right here too. But all that we have to do is to change this. So here it will be computers, and here it will be nature, and it will also change the function accordingly. And since this is very easy, let me type it fastly for you. So that's pretty much it. Now if I click on code, you will see that all the images related to code will be displayed. If I click on nature, all the images related to nature will be displayed, and if I click on computers, these images related to computer will be displayed. Okay, only if the internet is not working. Okay, this is not working, we may have some issue. I'm saying computers while I should be saying only computer, just because you can see right here we are checking only for computers. So save it, and now if I click on computers, images related to computer are being displayed. The next thing right here is that what if somebody just turns off the internet, and now if we click on any of this button, we are going to get exceptions. What are the socket exception? We are obviously not getting them as of now, because Flutter actually just is smart, and this Image.network caches these images. So once we have fetched this image, and if this app is working, it won't actually be fetching these images again and again. But ideally, if you will just turn off the internet, and if you try to get some data, you will get a socket exception. Now to make sure that that doesn't happen, you have to again use the knowledge that we got from the previous video, which was about connectivity check. And all that I'm going to do is that if there is no internet connection, like if somebody just turns off internet instantly while using this application, then we will show a dialog which will say that, hey, you just lost internet, so now you should exit the application. And if you get the internet back again, then we will just continue with the application. Now for that, the first thing that we need is obviously a previous result and a stream subscription. So here we have a stream subscription and a previous result. Both will throw errors. So just click on this, import the async library, and import the connectivity packages connectivity.dart. And here before this, I mean, we can just code this anywhere. And okay, one more thing, just don't always remember to dispose this stream subscription, which we did forget in the last file, which was main.dart. So let's just go to main.dart, because that will not just create memory leak, but will also create issues. So just put this here, and this is not connectivity subscription. This was actually, okay, what was the name? The name was stream subscription. So we'll say underscore is stream subscription, and just cancel this. Let me just copy this again. Let's go to images ui.dart, and let's paste it. Okay, what is this again right here? It's connectivity subscription. Come on, copy this and paste it again. Now here, since we have to code the init state too, because that's responsible for everything. So I'm saying void init state, and we have to override this. So I have this at override super.init state. Now here let's work with the connectivity subscription. So we have connectivity subscription, which is equal to connectivity dot, come on, where is connectivity? Connectivity dot check connection dot on connection changed dot listen, and here we are saying connectivity result. Okay, and let's name this as con result, and I have this callback function. Okay, now this is available, which is the int state. So we need a parenthesis right here. Now here we will obviously have two simple conditions. The first one is that the current connectivity result will be none. So I'm saying if the con result is equal to connectivity result dot none, that means we don't have internet as of now. Else the previous result will be none, so we have previous result, and else if the previous result is none, that means we have an internet connection. So let's just copy this and paste this. Now here, if we lose an internet connection, I have to show a dialog, and here I have to pop that dialog, which means I have to get rid of the dialog so that you can just continue with your UI. Now showing the dialog is pretty simple. I have to just use a show dialog, which will do the job for me. So I will just simply copy and paste this complete code, which will deal with showing dialogs, and the system channels, which is responsible for exiting the application, will show some errors, so we have to import the services dot. Now you're good to go. Here in this method, if the previous result is none, it's actually very simple. All that I'm doing is that I'm here checking if the dialog is being shown or not, which means if there is a dialog on our screen or not. And if there is a dialog, the navigator.pop will do the job. But for that, we have to make sure that dialog is shown. And to do that, I'm using another variable right here. We will call that boolean, and that boolean will be a dialog shown. So dialog shon. By default, let's set this to false. So by default, there is no dialog shown. And if we show a dialog, then we will set this to true. And we will show a dialog only if there is no internet connection. So if this is none, we will show a dialog. So now if the dialog shown is true, here we are going to pop it. So right here, I'm saying that just pop this if the dialog is not shown. But again, let me tell you this once again, that we have already talked about it, that the connectivity package is not actually checking for internet connection. So even if this result is none, even if this means according to the connectivity package that there is internet connection, there is no certainty that there will be an internet connection. And also we did forget to set the previous result with the correct connectivity result. So we have to say previous result is equal to con result to make sure that this works, which is okay. But okay, am I setting this in the same function? Oh yes, we should be using a single equal to. Now to do that, all that I'm doing is that we need another function which will check for socket, which will use the socket exception method to check the internet connection. And unlike the earlier method, like in the last video we did use a simple void, this time it would be a future boolean. So what's that? Let me show that to you. So it will return a future value, which will be a boolean. Okay, so this is the function's return type. The name of the function is check internet, as simple as that. And obviously it's an async asynchronous method, and the code is again same just as it was. The only difference is that now we'll be returning true and false. So if I just copy this, if I just paste this, we are good to go. So the socket exception gives an error, the internet connection gives an error. If I just import the dart.io, everything is fixed. Now see, this true and false obviously will work, may work, there's no certainty. So to actually return a future value, we should say future, come on, future, future dot value, and the value is, let's say, true. So here the value is true, and here the value is false. So I will just paste this and I will set this to false. Now, so what I want to say is that if there is an internet connection according to the connectivity package, then we will also call that function which will check for the internet connection. And if the result is true, then and only then we will get rid of the dialog. So I'm saying call the check internet function, and then when it completes its execution, it will give a result. Now all that we have to do is to work with the result, a callback here. If the result is true, if the result is true, that means we do actually have an internet connection. Now again we have to check if the dialog is being shown or not. Now if the dialog shown is also true, which means dialog is being displayed, so all that I have to say is to first I have to set the dialog shown to false, so that we can set it to true again if somebody closes internet again. And I'm saying Navigator dot pop, we will pass the context, and time to rebuild the application once, and I hope everything is good as of now. So let's just rebuild it very fastly. So our application is up and running. There was no internet connection, so we get this dialog. If I click on the internet, then this will go off. Well, we come to this place which shows images. We can see all these images. If I just turn off the internet at once, it will show this dialog which says, hey, no data connection available. If I again turn on the internet, then it will go back to the usual way. So this was all about this amazing Flutter application, where we not just created an internet sensitive UI, but we also created a simple project using which we can fetch images from the internet. Now the complete source code for this project is available in a GitHub repository, so do start it and do follow it up there, because if I'm making any changes to the code, if I'm improving it, or if I am using a suggestion that you might have given for improving the code, or to use something to code something else, then that all will be available in that repository, in that source code. So always make sure to go to the repository and look at the source code. Also I will be writing some comments, so that even if you don't want to watch the video, if you just want to skip to the source code and understand from there, you can do it very well. So that was all from my side in this video. I'll catch you up soon in another awesome Flutter tutorial or Flutter project, anything as such. But till then, keep coding, keep loving, keep shading, and peace.